Okay, y'all, I want to talk about Gate 23. So we moved yesterday into Gate 23, and in human design, that is the gate of assimilation. In quantum human design, that's the gate of transmission, and in the gene keys, it's the gate of quintessence. And so, or the way of quintessence. And so I'm going to actually start with the gene key this time because it's so relative to where we are in our, in our culture, in our collective, and what we're really needing to embrace. And so, at the shadow level of this gene key, we're really looking at complexity, and we're really looking at the complexity of accumulation, right? So it's really about what have I been accumulating through my whole life? Where have I kind of followed status quo? Where am I being sold into the system? And I have this tendency to accumulate. So that could be where you're physically accumulating the all of the marketing that tells us that we need certain things, but even thinking about how we've lost the trust in what we know, and we're listening to this person that researched and published this study, and this person says this, and this person says this, and it's gotten to the point that literally you have full contradictions in what we should be eating and how much we should be drinking, and what we need to learn and what's not important, and so and really what this gene key asks us is like, is all of that necessary, right? If I listen to my body, do I know when I'm thirsty? If I listen to my body, do I know what makes me feel good when I eat it? And not feel good in the I ate a bunch of sugar and I have dopamine, but like feel good, I have nutrients, right? The density of my nutrients. um and also, like, where have I accumulated thoughts and beliefs and systems and just stuff, right? And when we accumulate, so I want to relate this to the five elements for you, because when we accumulate, it really affects the earth energy. Our earth energy is our ability to manifest things on the physical level. It's to have our needs met. What we need, we have. But the spleen is really sensitive to being overly taxed when we accumulate too much. It's the burden of and the exhaustion that comes from carrying too much, and that can be both in the physical realm, that we're carrying um, too much energy, too much stuff in our house, too much, right? The too muchness of things. But it's also in the spleen energy. It can be really it's too much in the body, right? So it's too much in the body, and it creates sluggishness and phlegm and mucus, right? Kind of creates inflammation when we're like trying to hold it all, right? So what the spleen needs is simplicity. It needs us to be less complex in the body, to try and carry less. There's an exhaustion to the spleen that comes from trying to do too much, to carry too much. And I'm going to tell a quick story there. When I was an art jeweler, if you didn't know that, I used to be an art jeweler. It's still in my heart, but I used to physically do it for my job. And I didn't really um, I didn't really know how to govern myself in that creativity. And I just produced and produced and produced. And I'd make a new line of jewelry, and it would have 100 pieces of different colors and designs and combinations. And it was just too much. It was all too much. I had too many lines. I had too many pieces in each line. And it ultimately led slowly but surely to adrenal exhaustion. I just couldn't handle keeping up with all of that, but also a financial exhaustion. I couldn't keep buying enough supplies, even though I was really successful and I had a lot of people buying and ordering. But when you offer something in 20 colors that you could have just offered in five, and when those colors are gemstones, buying all the gemstones to make sure you have enough to do that in case somebody orders. And it went from a really simple thing. It could have just been this beautiful design in maybe one or two colors, to this beautiful design in 10 colors. And when it expanded from the simplicity of the first to the complexity of the second, it created disruptions. It created a disruption in my whole five elements. And I eventually really ended up deeply in adrenal exhaustion. It took me almost a year to recover. because I was just going and going and just cranking out jewelry, just trying to keep up then with the complexity that I had created. And really, we see that amplified. We're kind of marketed to like make our lives more complex, right? Like it's where do we need more? Where can we accumulate more? The moreness, and it really undermines the abundance theories of the earth energy, which are that when I live simply, when I connect to the earth, when I really simplify my thoughts, my beliefs, my emotions, and I really stay heart-centered, I move through the world with grace and connection to flow, then all of my needs are met. And so, but we're kind of sold that abundance means extra. It means that we have extra, that we have millions of dollars in the bank. We have, but really at its root, what abundance really means is flow. It's not about whether or not I have extra, although extra is fine, but it's really about trusting in that flow of timing. And when we look at the five elements, it's really when we cut away. So when we work with this gate, it's like, what can I cut away? What's essential and what's not essential? So in its gift state, this is the simplicity of things, right? Like, how do I let go of beliefs? How do I let go of patterns? How do I let go of things? And one of the things that Richard Rudd talks about is really using your hands, like the simplicity of life when you had to make it with your hands, when you had to make the furniture with your hands, when you had to express your art with your hands, when you dig in the garden with your hands and you grow something, right? There's a lot of connection between source and our hands. It's the physical place where we can manifest. And so when we trim away all of this complexity, when we garden it back, right? Again, we're kind of in that earth analogy. When we garden it back, the new shoots are there. And so that brings us back to the thriving relationship between wood and earth, is that I live my life in balance and harmony with the earth and what I need, and not necessarily what I want or have been sold or I'm accumulating, but my true needs, which are very simple and grounded and rooted and open-hearted. Then I'm constantly gardening my garden. I'm trimming away the extra. And in doing so, I'm always making space for that new growth in my wood energy, right? I trim away what is old, I deadhead, and I have this new growth that happens. And the new growth that really that comes from, when we talk what new growth happens in wood, and again, we're in a very wood season, it's spring here at least, but in general, in that springtime of year, we're really looking at new growth is rooted in source energy. When we look at wood, we really look at wood and water together. We look at how from the seed, from the stillness, we grew something new. And that seed and that stillness couldn't really happen unless we were constantly kind of trimming away what's not necessary. We do that through metal. We let go of what no longer serves us, and we like plant the seeds that are necessary. And then with that seed, we use the water of source energy, of trust in divine timing, in divine flow, to let the new growth come up, to let what the new potential, the new growth, the thing that's really our dream and our vision, right? So think about all the places like midlife crisis, for example, where we've lost touch with the dream and the vision because we were so busy doing the do, that we were kind of sold that we needed to do, even if we really, again, Richard Rudd kind of talks about the marriage and the right career and then midlife crisis. And the truth is that really what happens is the complexity of what we've been sold lays on top of our true hearts. And so relationships become more complicated because now we have beliefs and where we're triggered, and emotions make it more complicated, right? So it's like, it's getting back to that root of the simplicity that comes with being just really in your flow and in divine timing. And that is going to kind of take us then to looking at the assimilation or even the transmission. When we look at what human design says about assimilation, it's a throat center gate, right? And it's about being in divine timing and knowing when is the right time to speak, when is the right time to have an idea and to act on it. And so we can't know that timing if we've accumulated all of these things. So it's like really getting in that simplicity space. How can I make my life more simple? How can I live more deeply in simplicity? And from that place, I can know what I really am here to do, what I really am here to say. And then I can wait for the right timing to share that, right? Because when we're trying to push and when we're trying to share, when we're trying to get it out there, we see this a lot in like social media. There's this kind of overly active throat chakra of people kind of pushing their thing into the world, right? Like, do you see my thing? Buy my thing, do the thing with me, whatever it is, right? Like, and it's really can be a very over energy in that gate in the throat chakra, instead of being invited to speak. The simplicity, when we look at like gurus, I hate to say that word, but one of the things that's really most attractive about gurus is their simplicity, their quietness. And when they speak, it's relevant. They don't have a whole lot of words that are not relevant. They're living their true purpose. And when they speak, it's really powerful, right? So what I want you to think about with this gate is do I know my dream? Do I know my life purpose, my template? Have I accumulated all sorts of things that keep me out of alignment or distracted from that, keep my life complex instead of the simplicity of living my truth? And is it time for me to trim away what's non-essential? You can physically do that. Go spring cleaning, right? Like that's the energy of spring cleaning. Like what is sitting here that's no longer serving me? I love that. Oh, I'm going to forget the name of the book right now, but The Spark Joy, like the idea of everything in your house having a purpose. And if that purpose is just joy in your heart, great. And if it has a purpose that you need to serve, then perfect. And if it doesn't have that, like it's time to let that go. It's time to let go of thoughts and beliefs that are no longer serving you, or holding you back in some kind of way, especially the beliefs that you need more, right? Like, and that's what I really want to get across with this is that we've been sold a story of moreness. Like we just need more. And the truth is we actually need a lot less. And we'll be a lot happier when we have a lot less. There's just a complexity that comes with more, that requires more of us and our mental management. And again, I'm not saying that you can't go for your dreams and make, money and do all the things. Those things are absolute, and we need to do those things, but not being sold the idea that we haven't gotten where we need to be until we have a certain amount in our bank account, or we have a certain amount, until I'm a millionaire, I haven't made it. The truth is like the simplicity is that I am right now. And then I will always be wherever I am. And so, and then from that place, if I can really strip away the moreness of my life, then I can really support the relationship between my liver and my spleen and my kidney, which is what we've just talked about, like that. When it's in its beautiful expression, it's I so trust in source and that knowing that my source, my universal energy, universal love, God, whatever you want to say that is for you, it lives in my heart. I have a relationship with it in my heart, and I root in that, and I trust in that. I have faith in that. And then from that place, I grow in my purpose. I know what I'm here to do. I have the courage it takes to do those things. And I move through and that's the liver. And then we move, it has a relationship to that spleen energy, which helps us to help us garden that, to help us to grow it and to not accumulate, but to hold exactly what we need and then prune away what is no longer serving us. So that's your check-in for this week's gate, which again is the gate 23, if you're looking for it. And then there is this beautiful deck. I just want to share this. It's called the 64 Sacred Sites. And it's comes from a healing modality by Alea de Noyelles. I might say that wrong, but I think that's how you say her name. And she's worked with acupressure points, and I probably have put a few out there before if you followed me, that can really help you with if you are working with the gene keys or if you are working with human design. These are acupoints that go for each gate that can really help you go deeper, and you can invoke their invocation. So you're really using the sound of your voice to invoke the spiritual and sacred aspect of the change, of the I Ching, the book of change, right? Like we're changing, we are growing, we are becoming more spiritually advanced. And so in this, there is a point, and I probably should have written it down, that's called Merchant's Mound, and it's on spleen 5. And spleen 5, let me just show you where it is. So that's on page 104. Just so you can find it and hold it. If you can see it, spleen 5 is right there on the inside of the ankle. And then I'm just going to read to you kind of the essence of this point. And as you're kind of, this is not the point specifically, I don't know if this is a point that's specifically for gate 23, but it is a point that really is about this assimilation and complexity versus simplicity. And so it made me think I wanted to share it with you. So the invocation for this point is, on Merchant Mound, I breathe exquisite fresh air as I look out across the expanse of my bountiful life. And an invocation in this case is really using the sound of the words to create a different resonance in the body, right? Like we know now that sound has healing capability. We know that for sure. It's been clinically proven, which means it's real. I mean, some people say that means it's real. I say it's real anyway. Science and magic. That's my tagline. Remember, science, magic, alchemy. But I want you to read I want you to listen to the essence and how that fits into what we're talking about with this gate. A merchant knows the value and preciousness of things and offers high quality goods. This merchant takes us up on the mound where we can breathe in the exquisite fresh air and see the purity of the heavens. This is the metal point on the spleen meridian, where we have an expansive overview, see what is truly important to us, and we are able to let go of what isn't necessary. We receive inspiration and guidance to support us in realizing and expressing our greatest gift. And there's an example of this point where she really talks about the too muchness, like having a merchant doesn't have too much, right? There's this perfect balance of what we have to offer, and not trying to offer too much, not trying to say too much, not waiting to be asked to share this gem that we really are, right? So I hope that helps you navigate this week. It's going to take you inward and ask you to look at, like, especially in the quantum human design world, looking at where you might be accumulating responsibility that isn't yours, and it's weighing down like a wet blanket on top of your true purpose, right? And being able to say, what am I really responsible for? What am I not responsible for? Where have I conditioned myself into believing that my responsibilities are more important than my dreams? And how can I lean into the both and of making my life a balance, a harmony between who I know I'm here to be and the responsibilities that I have and that I carry. So I hope this helps you move through the week, and I will see you soon.